WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Abuja. Good afternoon, and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink, but first, the headline stories. The Nigerian police vows a strong territorial response against vandalism and looting as the End Bad Governance protest entered day 2.
Our officers are fully mobilized and prepared to respond swiftly and decisively to any further threats to public safety and order. We remain committed and resolute to protecting lives and property and ensuring that law and order are maintained across the nation.
Amnesty International raises alarm about poor conditions of prisons in Benin. Togolese President Yasingbe reappoints Dogbe as Prime Minister in his new government. And Ghana's Electoral Commission EC announces its readiness to conduct a free, transparent and inclusive poll on December 7. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and a warm welcome to our listeners in Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. Let's begin with Nigeria as we continue our coverage of the planned nationwide protest against bad governance, even as it enters day 2. While at that, authorities in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, have reminded protesters of subsisting court order limiting their activities to the MKO National Stadium. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, addressed a news conference after a security meeting assessing the first day of the protest. WADR's Usman Umar reports.
The minister said the court order which restricts protest activities to the MKO Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, aims to prevent disruptions to the city's daily activities and ensure public safety. He commended security agencies and the media for their professionalism in handling the situation.
We have come out to say clearly that one of the reasons government are appealing to to carry this protest, that we believe some miscreants will take advantage and cause mayhem and cause destruction of property within their city. See what has happened in most of the states today. Kano is there, Kaduna is there. See what happened in Bauchi. We have intelligence that yes, you may attempt, miscreants may not have succeeded at what they wanted to do, what they wanted to carry out. We have intelligence that, look, they're coming up tomorrow to destroy property that would lead to loss of life. The security agencies will not allow every protester, please go to the Moshood Abiola Stadium.
However, Wike pointed out that a certain senator was seen providing support to protesters bent on causing havoc in the city, a development he said the police is monitoring.
Now, we also have intelligence that a senator had to invite some security agencies to lead some of them to go and provide food to the protesters. That is sponsorship. A senator providing food for protesters. And every time the security agencies will invite the senator and find out how he will be sponsoring this kind of motion against the government of the day. I want to commend residents in Abuja who have remained calm, market women, taxi driver, unions, youths who have refused to join to cause mayhem. That's what we expect. We will do our best to make sure some of these challenges are being solved.
Police authorities from around the country have also issued warnings to protesters, stating that any breakdown of law and order will not be tolerated. As the country gears up for the second day of the protest, as some of the protesting groups have vowed to continue coming out until their demands are met, many have expressed the hope that the government will speed up its interventions to restore normalcy. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Meanwhile, calm has returned to some states of Nigeria on day 2 of the End Bad Governance protest that turned violent on Thursday. Reports on local media and streaming portals this afternoon indicate that major cities rocked with violent confrontations between protesters and security forces, experiencing relative peace characterized by the free movement of people, vehicles and goods. However, schools, private businesses such as banks, gas stations, restaurants and official administrative buildings remain closed. Imo Edit tells us more in this report.
Across the 36 states of Nigeria, citizens responded to the call on day one of the protests to demand better governance, an end to corruption, and implement urgent economic reforms to ease the hardship being experienced by millions of Nigerians. The demonstration began peacefully but quickly turned violent in the northern western states of Kaduna, Sokoto, Katsina, Jigawa, and Kano, where the governor imposed a 24-hour curfew after hoodlums vandalized and looted shops. Governor Abba Yusuf said deaths were recorded but gave no further details.
To prevent further looting and vandalization of shops, mosques, public buildings, as well as indiscriminate killing and maiming of innocent citizens. Therefore, declared 24 hours curfew in the state with immediate effect.
As in the northwestern region, Borno, Yobe, Bauchi, and Gombe states in the northeastern region reported violence during the demonstrations. Borno, already battling a decade-long insurgency, also imposed an indefinite curfew, while Nasarawa State in the north-central region also announced a 24-hour curfew in 3 local government areas, where clashes took place between the police and protesters. According to the state government, lives were lost and properties destroyed. The southwest Yoruba-speaking region, including Lagos State, enjoyed a peaceful protest, while the southeast region, comprising Imo, Enugu, Anambra, and Abia, saw zero participation in the protest. Experts anchored the development on the continuous call to residents by the socio-cultural group Ndigbo for them to stay home. Other political observers argued that the region, which has claimed marginalization and low representation at the national level in the last 3 decades, did not vote for President Bola Tinubu in the 2023 presidential election. In the meantime, the nationwide protests, largely propagated on social media against economic hardship, have been scheduled to stretch till August 10 over the increasing prices of food and basic commodities in the last month. At the roots of the frustrations are the government's twin policies of petrol subsidy removal and unification of forex windows.
Imo added with that report, still in Nigeria, the National Police has expressed concerns over the events of August 1 across the Federation, which the police chief addressed at a press conference Thursday evening in Abuja, the nation's capital. Kayode Egbetokun disclosed that a policeman was murdered while several others assigned to protect protesters sustained serious injuries. Egbetokun went on to say that some police stations in the country were razed by hoodlums disguised as protesters, described the development of Thursday as a mass uprising and looting and not a protest.
The destruction so far has been mind-boggling. There has been destruction in Kano, Borno, Yobe, Kaduna, Gombe, Bauchi, FCT, Abuja, Niger, and Jigawa. Police stations have been destroyed. There have been attempts to take over government houses, looting of government infrastructures. Several warehouses and shops so far have been looted and in several instances completely destroyed. In the light of the current situation, the Nigerian Police Force has placed all units on red alert. Our officers are fully mobilized and prepared to respond swiftly and decisively to any further threats to public safety and order. We remain committed and resolute to protecting lives and property and ensuring that law and order are maintained across the nation. Groups who are hiding under the guise of exercise of a right provided in the Constitution to destabilize the country should also remember that the same Constitution imposed on them the duty to obey the laws of the land and respect the rights of other citizens. The police is equipped to respond appropriately to the unfolding situations and will get assistance from other security agencies, including the military, if the need arises. We appeal to all citizens to remain calm and cooperate with the police and other security agencies during this challenging period.
Kayode Egbetokun is Inspector General of the Nigerian Police. And as these street protests continue against the high cost of living and economic reforms, the African Development Bank, AFDB, is granting a loan to Nigeria. This is a $500 million facility to finance the first phase of the program to support economic governance and energy transition. This new project aims to accelerate the transformation of Nigeria's electrical infrastructure.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
As a reminder, we are live on Facebook on WADR English service and streaming live on YouTube at WADR. Now, Amnesty International has raised an alarm about the conditions of detentions in Benin. According to organizations, investigations conducted between June 19 and July 21, 2023, at least 46 prisoners have died in the last 7 years due to the harsh living conditions in prisons. The human rights organization is urgently calling for action to improve the prison conditions in the country. Augustine Coley tells us more.
In a press release issued yesterday, Thursday, Amnesty International painted a bleak picture of the prison conditions in Benin. It reported that none of the visited prisons have permanent state doctors and lack basic necessities such as drinking water, hygiene, and health care. The NGO's investigation found that 46 prisoners died between January and July 2023, and prison overcrowding has reached a record level. According to Amnesty International, the number of prisoners has nearly tripled, increasing from less than 7,000 in 2016 to 18,170 in December 2023. One specific prison, Akpo Mesirete Civil Prison, designed for 1,000 inmates, had 3,742 prisoners in 2023. Similarly, Porto Novo Prison accommodates 1,554 inmates instead of 250, and Cotonou Prison houses 1,595 inmates instead of 700, causing significant hardships for the prisoners. The NGO revealed that most detainees are forced to lie on the ground, unable to turn around. The organization also condemned the abusive and arbitrary nature of pre-trial detentions, which are in violation of Benin's Code of Criminal Procedure, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, all of which Benin is a party to. In response to these dire prison conditions in Benin, Amnesty International calls for urgent action from the country's authorities.
Augustine Coley reporting there. President Foya Singbe of Togo has reappointed Victor Tomega Dugbe as Prime Minister of his new government. Her appointment took place yesterday, Thursday, August 1, according to a statement from the Togolese presidency. Tomega Dugbe is expected to begin discussions aimed at forming a new government. Following her reappointment, she wrote on her X account expressing gratitude to President Yasimbe while promising to work with humility and determination for a peaceful, inclusive, and prosperous Togo. The former head of government resigned on May 22 after the overwhelming victory of Yasimbe's UNI party in the legislative and regional elections. And just before the break, Russia has reiterated its commitment to Mali and other states of the Sahel Alliance, AES, in the fight against terrorism. This was announced on Thursday by a Russian foreign minister in telephone discussion with his Malian counterpart. Several issues were discussed, including the security situation marked by the resumption of hostilities between the Malian army and the permanent strategic framework, the Northern Independence Movement. H.R. Tisu completes the story.
Information from the Malian Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Malian Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Diop and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov spoke via telephone on Thursday. During their meeting, the two diplomats discussed important issues aimed at further strengthening the strategic partnership between Bamako and Moscow. The security situation in Mali was also on the agenda. The head of the Russian diplomacy, Sergei Lavrov, therefore reaffirmed his country's commitment to supporting not only Mali, but also the other two countries of the AES, Burkina Faso and Niger, in their fight against terrorism and to ensure stability in the sub-region. According to the Russian news agency, Moscow expresses determination to continue providing Bamako with the necessary assistance to improve the combat effectiveness of the Malian armed forces against persistent terrorist threats. The two parties also committed to strengthening their partnerships in the political, commercial, economic, and humanitarian fields. The interview comes as fighting has resumed in the north of Mali between the army and the independence movement of the Permanent Strategic Framework. Earlier on Wednesday, the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan took a stand at reiterating his country's support for Mali in its fight against terrorism.
A report filed in by WADR's Ali Chamin Bamako and voiced by Eche Atisu. You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio and broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here's a reminder of our top stories. The Nigerian police vows a strong retaliatory response against vandalism and looting as the End Bad Governance protests enter day 2. Amnesty International raises alarm about poor conditions of prisons in Benin. The Togolese president Yassingbe reappoints Dogbe as a prime minister in his new government. Still ahead in the news, Ghana's Electoral Commission announces its readiness to conduct a free, transparent and inclusive poll on December 7 as it opens portals for nominations. We also have the guest interview and a sports update with Sankule Janko. Please stay with us.
You are listening to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal.
Many thanks for staying with us. As Ghana prepares for its 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections, the Electoral Commission (EC) has officially announced the opening of nominations. Starting September 9, aspiring candidates can submit their nominations, marking the commencement of the electoral process. The nomination period will close on Friday, September 13, 2024. The Commission has also maintained the cost of nominations at 100,000 Ghana cedis or $6,472 with a reduced fee of 75,000 Ghana cedis or $4,820 for female candidates and persons with disabilities. From Accra, Nadiri Tete reports.
The Electoral Commission announced on Thursday, August 1, the opening of nominations for the 2024 elections in accordance with the 2020 Public Elections Regulations CI 127. According to the EC statement, candidates can access nomination forms from the EC website starting Friday, August 2. Presidential candidates must pay a filing fee of 100,000 Ghana cedis, approximately $6,427 with a reduced fee of 75,000 Ghana cedis, approximately $4,820 for female candidates and persons living with disabilities. Parliamentary candidates will pay 10,000 Ghana cedis, approximately $643 or 7,500 Ghana cedis, approximately $482 for female candidates and persons living with disabilities. Mahdi Jibril, Deputy Director of Elections for the Opposition National Democratic Congress, confirmed these figures were agreed upon at an inter-party advisory meeting.
In every election, the Electoral Commission increases their cost. But this time around, we all agree that the economic situation in the country, if they increase the cost, it will be difficult for people to file nominations. We did agree on that, they are paying on 10,000 and 100,000. So we are okay with it.
Programs Officer at the Center for Democratic Development, Ghana, Vera Ado, praised the reduced fees for female aspirants and those with disabilities.
It's a good affirmative action from the Electoral Commission, knowing the barriers and some challenges the women candidates face. As we look at for reducing the cost for all nominations, I'm sure the women will be encouraged to participate even more. So this is a good cause, and I think it's knowing that you have just passed our affirmative action bill.
All payments are to be made by bankers' draft to the EC chairperson for presidential candidates and to the returning officers of the respective constituencies for parliamentary candidates. The EC also advised independent candidates to contact the Commission for passcodes to download nomination forms. For WADR, Nadi Ditati, Accra.
Elsewhere, the Office for the Establishment of a War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia has outlined several guidelines geared towards accelerating the creation of the court. Since the end of the Liberian Civil War in 2003, which led to the death of more than 250,000 people, the country's new president, Joseph Boakai, a few months ago constituted the Office of War Crimes Court to bring to book warlords and their financiers. WADR's Darlington Pop and Monrovia reports.
President Joseph Boakai constituted a team empowering it to develop appropriate guidelines as well as source international assistance for the establishment of the court. At a day-long event in Monrovia, the institution's director of outreach, George Wisner, said the institution has embarked on a massive awareness across the country for the establishment of the court.
Education is also continual advocacy to ensure that even those implementers of the war crime code are also held accountable. You development partners, you have an obligation to help Liberia in the pursuit of justice. The TOR of this office is to ensure it works out the methodology, the mechanism, as well as mobilize the necessary resources for the establishment of the court.
In remarks, the national chairman of the Liberia NGOs network, Stephen Noma, said his organization, which comprises more than 25 NGOs, will endeavor to create awareness throughout the length and breadth of the country.
That conducted a massive awareness for the special court of Salome in the trial of the president, our former president, Charles in a Hague. Nevertheless, drawing on an experience, we are ready, very in every corner of the republic to ensure the people informed about the right of the court.
For now, many Liberians are anticipating that the World Crown's office will accelerate the process to hold accountable those bearing the greatest responsibility for the decade-long civil war that ended in 2003. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Darlington Pogba in Monrovia.
And just before the guest interview, Sierra Leone has experienced a notable decline in the 2024 World Press Freedom Index published annually by Reporters Without Borders RSF. The latest details show that the country has dropped 10 positions to 64th place with a score of 64.27% compared to its 54th position in the 2023 index. The authors note that this year press freedom is being threatened by the very people who should be its guarantors, governments and political actors, adding that in compiling the rankings, it is the political indicator that saw the steepest decline, reflecting a broader trend of diminishing support for media freedom and escalating political pressure. RSF further expressed concerns of seeing a worrying decline in support and respect for media freedom and an increase in political pressure in Sierra Leone, which underscores a troubling shift in the environment of press freedom globally.
Politics,
Analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Joining us on the guest segment is BM Joshua, a research and policy analyst in Nigeria. Joshua weighs in on the feasibility of the President Bola Tinubu's government to give in to the many demands from organizers of the August protests in the country, otherwise dubbed the hashtag and bad governance. Among them, reversal of the fuel subsidy removal and a cut in governance expenditure.
The grievances Nigerians have regarding the economic hardship are actually, when you look at it, they're very valid. As the removal of the fuel subsidy was hastily done, if I could use that term, especially as he came into power, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2023, and there was not necessarily the adjoining or there was no preparedness towards what comes after the removal of the fuel subsidy, which has put a lot of people, the 200 million Nigerians, into a dire situation. However, the demands that the protesters or Nigerians are having at the moment regarding the removal of the fuel subsidy, to be honest, with the level at which the removal of the fuel subsidy has impacted food insecurity, the cost of living, at the moment, it seems the only option or the best bet towards restoring some level of normalcy, because inflation has gone through the roof. There has been some level of damage control or trying to put together the policies, reforms earlier this year and all of it.
So if I may, some of the reforms you rightly mentioned in the form of damage control will include the palliatives, the conditional cash transfers, and some of the schemes for farmers and traders. But you think that has not done enough to cushion the impact?
Let's take, for instance, the distribution of palliatives. When you actually look at that, those are short-term. They are not, one cannot even categorize them as short-term measures because they do not go or trickle down to the most basic people, the people that need it. And when you look at sustainability as well, on the part of sustainability, how long do these palliatives or how long can that keep people going in spite of the hardship? that's going on in the country. So it's not sustainable, and the system by which the palliative sharing is flawed. Because with the current protest now, there are areas, or there have been reports that warehouses meant for or for distribution are being looted because they have been cornered and they haven't gotten to the people that need it. So these are part of the grievances. If at all, to an extent, the palliative sharing system or reforms actually alleviate this poverty, we're actually working, there would have been some level of progress. It could have quelled down the tensions that led to the nationwide protest we are seeing today.
BM Joshua is a research and policy analyst in Nigeria. Up next is a sports update with Sankule Janko.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. South Africa's Tajana Smith claimed her second medal of the Paris Olympic 2024 after finishing second in the final of the women's 200-meter breaststroke. This is the South African swimmer's second medal in the Paris 2024 Olympics after winning the 100-meter breaststroke final on Monday. Smith, who won the 200-meter title in Tokyo, was beaten to the gold medal by USA's Kate Douglas, while Tess Schouten of Netherlands finished third to take the bronze medal. In football, Crystal Palace have signed Senegal international Ismaila Sarr from Marseille for £12.5 million according to media reports. The Senegalese winger, who joined Marseille from Watford last season, has signed a 5-year contract with the London-based club Palace. Sarr, who was a member of Senegal's AFCON winning team in 2021, has scored 13 goals in 64 caps for the Teranga Lions. And Nigeria international Peter Etebo has reportedly completed a transfer to Turkey's second division club Libregie. Etebo, who joined Stoke City in 2018, has loan spells in Getafe, Galatasaray, Watford and Aris Solanike before his contract expired in 2023. He was a free agent since then before joining the Turkey's second-tier side. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
Sports was brought to you by Sankule Janko. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Krista Mukidi and Maojo Juve for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Remember that we are live on wadr.org or visit Google Play Store today to download our mobile application, WADR Live. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Up next, at the top of the hour, the second edition of our comprehensive news packet in French, Info Chez Vous, with Esuli Jeju. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM.